everybody? We are here at Summer Games Fest. I'm rocking with Aaryn. We're talking about Nightingale. I have been super excited about this. I remember seeing the first trailer for it and being really hyped for it. Please give the folks at home a little info about, what the game is and how it plays.
Yeah, thanks so much. So Nightingale is our shared world survival crafting game set in our own gas lamp fantasy Victorian universe. So shared world, you can play by yourself, invite your friends in cooperatively. We don't have PvP right now. Very focused on that cooperative experience. Survival crafting, the building, the customization, the crafting, of course, that lets you express yourself creatively the way you want to do it. And then our own universe, Victorian era, that kind of gothic vibe, kind of old, but still mysterious, but still recognizable. And then the gas lamp fantasy magic and all that kind of thing. All our own contemporary fantasy setting, something really relatable, something really, really cool for fans.
The thing that I was enthralled with was the art style. And it looks gorgeous, it's beautiful, and spooky as hell. The thing I love, I'm a big horror fan. I wouldn't classify this game as necessarily fully horror, but it has some scary, spooky elements to it.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about, setting and how that has kind of come to inform not only the gameplay, but what folks should kind of have an expectation for when kind of world building happens.
Oh, for sure. Credit to our art team, Neil, Francis, Noel, everybody there. They've done a phenomenal job with the environments, with the characters to give you that gothic feel, which is again that kind of like creepy, definitely not trying to go full on horror, but at the same time pull those darker elements, those darker tones and everything. And so just that mystery, that sense of discovery, that sense of what's around the corner, that little bit of foreboding, right? Like I'm not really sure, maybe you gotta be cautious, be careful. I think it really melds itself well into the survival genre.
And I love the fact that, one of the parts of the trailer was really digging into the kind of survival layers of it, right? You're building up your camps, you're having some of those kind of overrun by creatures in the world. Talk a little bit about the kind of push and pull between the survival elements and the kind of forces that are coming to get you.
Oh yeah, that's a great question. So I think survival games at their best, offer a sort of a back and forth of play and counterplay, and so you as a character will get to in this case one of our realms, and you'll decide to go a certain direction or explore certain things, and then the environment will push back on that, right? And so then you'll think, okay, I better go craft something to help me do that. You'll do that, and then you'll get a little further in the environment, and then again another challenge overcoming. Overcoming challenges is where these genres at its best, and the way players are empowered to solve puzzles and solve those challenges the way they want to. Maybe it's through crafting, maybe it's through building, maybe it's through some cooperative gameplay, just me and my friends get together, we'll solve it that way. Maybe it's through some strategy or tactics. All those things come to the forefront and let you as the player decide how you want to go and solve those puzzles.
So there are multiple facets to the game. It feels like there are multiple ways to play. For a person who's kind of just starting out, what would be the kind of initial, I wouldn't want to call it a run because it's persistent, right? You're playing over and over and over and kind of, starting from where you left off when you jump back into the world. But what would be a typical kind of run for someone who's trying to jump into the world for the first time?
So beyond the initial setup where you're getting onboarded and learning some of the basics, I think a typical session for a player would be you'd spawn in, you'd log in, you'd be at your estate here at your base. You'd probably take care of some things, check out what you've got available for resources. You might look at some things and say, oh, I could craft that new piece of gear if I only get a little more of this or a little more of that. So you might then formulate a plan as to go to which realm you got to go to get that or something. So then you'll kind of make your little shopping list, if you will, your little things to do list. And then you'll start to build a plan to go do that. And if it's something you got to go get and you just need, let's say, one more ingot of some metal, then you can be, okay, I'm going to get that right now. I got to go to a new realm to do that. So I'll get out some realm cards. I'll go to my portal. I'll play my realm cards. That realm opens up. I go there. I take on the challenges. I find the metal I need. Get back to my base. Craft that new piece of gear that I really wanted. Maybe it's a fancy new axe. Maybe it's a gun. Maybe it's a new outfit. And then you go, now that I got that, now I should be strong enough ready to take on this other challenge I've been thinking about for a long time. Okay. So now I can say, okay, now I can go to that quest that I've been wanting to go do, where that one NPC told me they needed this thing done for them, and so I think I'm ready. I think I can do that. So I think our game at its best will let you have short, medium, and long-term goals, and I think you can formulate those yourself, and you'll always be thinking about those, and always be kind of trying to map your way through all those.
Talk to me about realm cards, because that's one of the things that I remember in the trailer, and that was one of the things I was like, is there card crafting in this? Is like a card element to this? And speak a little bit more towards the card system, because I think that's the thing that a lot of our followers are wondering about.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing to remember is all of our realms are procedurally generated. So we procedure generate those, and then we serve those up to you when you go through a portal. But because we procedure generate them, you as a player have a chance to influence and control and manipulate what's on the other side. So if you want to go to a desert, you play the desert card. You want to go to a swamp, you play the swamp. You want to start to control things like weather and time of day and those things, and certain resources on the side. Then you can play those cards too. And so you collect and you craft those cards, and you trade those cards with other players, maybe potentially. And then you get to go to exactly the realm you want to go to and set up exactly the adventure. Create some advantages for yourself, maybe some bonuses for yourself as a realm walker. Maybe those come with some debuffs as well at the same time, so you got to think about that. And then that ultimately all adds up to be the level of challenge on this other side. So you might end up with an extremely challenging realm to go to, in which case you call your friends or keep working on your outfit, keep working your gear to take on those challenges.
Okay, so my mind just got blown by the card system conversation, because so I can basically build the elements, or have the elements that I want to kind of engage with when I build that card set together. And to a certain extent, you talked a little bit about you have these different biomes that you're adding into your deck. Does that also determine, because of the prot gen layer of it, what kind of enemies we're going to see in those moments too? Yeah,
exactly. So we our enemies are very closely connected to the biome. Each biome has its own unique enemies, but they tend to be they're unique to the biome, and so if you play a desert, you're going to get some desert enemies. If you play a swamp, you're going to get swamp enemies. Like that's what you see here in the trailer.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can then maybe increase or decrease some of the challenge with those. You can push those things a little way. Maybe you can eliminate a certain enemy if you don't want wolves, for example. Maybe one day there'll be a no wolves card you can play, and you can do that, and that'll cut out of the wolves.
Yeah.
So the thing I like about the realm cards is when we go to early access, we'll have I think a healthy amount of realm cards, and then we'll just keep providing more and more to players and give them more and more control and more excitement over the adventures they can have.
Oh my God! I see. Okay, I was already excited, but that just raised.
I'm glad to hear that. That's great.
And the other part would be, so we talked about crafting. When you're going into these fights and you're having these battles with enemies or folks in space, is there a kind of loot level of that too? Like, are you going in to a realm not only for resource gathering, but are you looking for like legendary loot or stuff like that? Is that an element too, or no?
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, absolutely. So what you're going to do is you're going to find resources that are rarer and rarer and those things. And so, and the more challenging a realm you go to, the more likely it is you'll find those rare resources. So you've kind of got that push-pull of just how that's going to work. But yes, as you overcome specific encounters, or if you defeat certain creatures, that's where you'll potentially find that rarest of loot.
Okay. Other question would be, so crafting we nailed, enemies we talked about, sharing resources and sharing cards and things across players are going to be in that element. Are there class specific stuff, or are there classes within the folks you are able to pick, so that you're kind of in a team and having a special kind of role? Yeah, so no classes like traditional RPG. Okay. But you do get to choose the gear you wear, and some of that gear will have benefits for specific kinds of play styles. So you might, for example, decide that you're going to invest a lot into an absolutely phenomenal axe, and so that's going to make you better up close to the things. Someone else might invest in a long-range rifle so they can stand back and shoot things. And we've got magical things you can imbue your gear with too, to give you different abilities and different unique things as well. Okay, so you're going to have co-op play. Yep. PvE play. Yep. Is there going to be PvP in it as well? No PvP at this time. Okay. No. So we want very focused on the cooperative experience. Want to get that right. Yep. Make sure we got that. And no PvP. Okay. For now. Good. Okay. That's awesome. I am so excited for this.
Oh, I'm really happy to hear that. Thank you so much.
It was very mysterious in the beginning of seeing what was going to be in that conversation, but hearing how you're flipping that idea around, procedural generation, but giving the player a space to kind of tune it towards their run and their play. I love the fact that you're going to be able to do that. Really, one other question really quickly, because and we're watching some B-roll. We're going to be playing some of that during this interview as well. There seem to be all these different kinds of invasions as well. So you're building up your base and having those things. How does the realm cards kind of play into that? Do they play into that? And how do those invasions kind of work?
Yeah, great question. So some of that stuff comes from the biome you'll go to. Certain environments will be more challenging. As you increase the level of challenge, you're more likely to face those kind of waves of enemies coming at you, like in the trailers there. But you'll also be able to go to certain more chill realms that you're not going to be so worried about that. And so if that's more your vibe, go do that. But if you really want that hard challenge, you're going to get those best possible rewards for discovery things, then you'll have to pick the hardest realms to go to.
Man. Everybody, look, I am ridiculously excited. This is going to be a lot of fun to play with my friends. And it sounds like, when I'm playing solo, I'm going to have just as good of an experience to be able to jump into a game like this, explore, play around with the biome system and the card system. And, anytime I can go crafting and go trooping around in space and try to get really great loot, that's my jam. So excited for that. Aaryn, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you. My pleasure.
Giving
Thanks
me
so
some
much.
time.
No, anytime.
Spawn on me, fam. Dope stuff with Nightingale. Really hyped for it. We'll be bringing you more once we get some chance to have hands-on with it, once everything starts to come out. And more Summer Games Fest coming to you more after this.